my name's Bev Fearis and I'm the editor of the Business Travel magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to our latest business travel podcast and vodcast. Today I'm speaking with Clive Wratten and his daughter Sammi as part of our Business Travel Ambassadors campaign. It's a new series that we've started and it's called Kindred Spirits, and we're talking to people in the industry whose daughters or sons have followed them into business travel as a career. So welcome to you both. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So let's crack on. Clive, you talk me through first your career, your career journey so far.
Oh, we've only got 15 minutes, right? Yeah, and Samantha will go to sleep very quickly. I'll notice it. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's my 44th year in the industry. So I know I don't look old enough, right? But I started as an apprentice at Thomas Cook when I was 16. So you can pretty much work out it's a big birthday I've got this year. And on the counter in the leisure industry, but that's where I stayed for quite a while in Tunbridge Wells. And did various bits and pieces, including foreign exchange, cashiering, and other bits. And then ended up doing business travel at Thomas Cook down in Gloucester, first up, and was there for quite a while. I moved around a bit with Thomas Cook, became American Express, and then got my the break that I really wanted, because as I think most people know, I'm a bit of an aviation geek. So I got a job working for British Airways as a corporate account manager, which I did for a number of years, and then spent a bit of my career in the airlines working for British Airways, set up the corporate sales team at Qantas here in the UK, moved on to Gulf Air, which is both corporate and leisure, and then 8 years at Etihad, running the airline effectively here, both on the corporate side, leisure side, and everything else that goes along with an airline. Then I had a chance to take on a travel management company based in Manchester, which I became CEO, and I did that for 4 years and really found out genuinely how hard it is to run a TMC, and that's why I have every respect and admiration for my peers and colleagues in the Business Travel Association, which of course is where I am now, and I'm hugely proud and privileged to represent the industry and have this role. And be able to kind of promote the industry and give something, I know it's a bit corny, but start giving something back. But it is great. So yeah, a long career, always in travel, predominantly in business travel, and it's served me pretty well, I think.
So just before we go on to Sammi, you started in leisure though, which a lot of people seem to do. So when you were at school, did you want to work in travel, and was leisure the side that you wanted to move into?
I mean, when I was at school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was pretty hopeless at school, to be honest with you, and I was flopping around and doing stuff. And this story may come out in a second generation kind of story as well when we get to Samantha. But my parents were trailblazers of travel, even though they weren't in travel. But we, jumped into the package holidays very early on when they were first coming out. My first trip was in 1970 on a Clarkson's holiday on a Dan-Air Comet to Palma. And they, those days were very early package tours. My parents were straight onto it. So I got that love of travel. And then when I was coming up to the age of 16 and going through careers and, trying to get me to go to university, none of our family had been to university. I was like, I don't want any of that. I love that travel thing, because we traveled all over Europe and done that kind of stuff very early. And I wrote to all the local travel agents on a handwritten letter. I was thinking about this yesterday. This is like how much the world has changed. Finally got an interview at Thomas Cook. And I didn't know anything about business travel at all. And that's the point, right? That I got in booking holidays. But when I got in there was this one person who did what was called Business House. And I think it took me a year to work out what they were actually doing, because they were on the counter as well. And they did the odd booking for the Business House. And it was some time before I really knew what it was. And as I converted, I think it was probably about 7 or 8 years into my career that I moved into being a business travel consultant, and then stuck with it after that point.
So what you at school, you weren't even aware of what they did. When once you've got a taste of it, you didn't have you flitted back to leisure a bit, but were you kind of hooked then? What was it that made you want to stay with business travel?
It was funny actually. Yeah, it came by chance to go into what was then a dedicated TMC, because a lot in the early days, travel management was done at the sides of retail offices or upstairs or whatever. And Thomas Cook in Gloucester was a purely business travel house. And I got in there and I got to look after some really quite large accounts and not know anything about it. And I got to know the what was the PAs in those days and the travellers. and I was helping them go and do their business. And it was I just loved it, because you were playing part of somebody going on a journey to do something really big for the company. And in those days, they would come back and the traveller would go, "Oh, thanks for sorting it out, Clive. I went and signed a deal." And I thought, this is pretty amazing. I feel part of this company. And for me, I just really liked it. And it was being brutally honest about, then you didn't have to face the customer coming in front of you. It was always on the phone. And, you did get away from that direct customer contact, which could be challenging at times. So.
Okay, fine. So moving on to you, Sammi, talk me through your career so far and how you got into business travel.
Yeah, so mine's probably a lot less underwhelming than Dad's, I'll be honest. But I mean, I've been in the industry 16 years now. So I kind of started right when I was 17, and a bit like Dad, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do at all. And I think I remember quite clearly, I was 17, I was going through different college courses, and Dad was like, "Just get a job." And I was like, "Okay, sure, no problem." And I mean, it's cringe when I think about it at the time, but there was like programs on where people were planning events and all these glamorous places around the world. And I went, "Oh, that looks quite fun. Let's give that a go." And that kind of started my sort of first job in, I think it was Hilton T4 was my first job. So very unglamorous compared to what I saw on TV. And then I stayed there for about a year. And then I moved to a representation company, looking after sort of like Oman Tourist Board, Grenada Tourist Board. So that kind of opened my eyes to the travel industry a little bit more, doing press like trips and so on. And then I went back to hotels for a good few years, doing events and sales in there. I think I was there for like a good 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer. And then I had then my early 20s, probably, let's go do something a bit fun. And I worked at a company organising stag and hen parties, as I hate to admit it now. but I had fun. You had to do it. And I was there for, again, a good sort of 5 years. And then that's when I kind of moved to a TMC side, working in the events side of a TMC. So I've been doing that for 6-7 years now. And that's kind of where I still am now, in TMC side of working within TMCs of an event agency, planning stuff all around the world, and I love it. But didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. Fell into it.
Is it account manager of Yes, which is your events?
Yes, yeah, account director at your event solutions.
Okay, and before that you were with TAG for some years, is that correct?
Yeah, so 5.5 years I was with the appointment group, similar sort of role, planning events.
So going back to your school days, even though your dad had worked in travel, you weren't set on being in travel then. You still weren't quite sure. It wasn't something that you'd seen your dad do and thought that's like fun.
No, I mean, growing up, it was just what he did. So like, to me, like anyone sort of, my dad does this, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. It wasn't like, right, I need to get into that industry. It wasn't until later, because I think at one point I was trying to be media production in college. I even was like, I'm going to do prosthetic makeup or something ridiculous like that.
A nightmare. It was chopped and changed every week. It was a nightmare.
And then it was get a job, Samantha. And I was like, okay. And then it wasn't until, I've kind of always enjoyed planning stuff and doing things like that, and seeing it was sort of on telly. I can't remember what program it was, and I was like, that looks so much fun. That looks so glamorous. Reality, it's not like that at all. Should have known that, really. But that's what kind of first got me into it. I was like, right, let's try some hotels. Let's see what that events life is like, working in the industry, and then been here ever since. Not left.
When your dad was saying get a job, he wasn't saying get a job in travel.
No, he was just like, just get a job. He was like, because he never went to university. I never did the university thing either, and it didn't really appeal to me. I wasn't academic or anything like that, so I just was kind of like, just want to get stuck in and do something. And he was like, well, just crack on, find something. It doesn't have to be what you want to do straight away, like, but try it. See, you're young, start out trying to do a few different things. But it kind of stuck straight away. So
I did want her to get into it, because I thought
why didn't you want her to get in? Why weren't you saying get a job in travel? It's really great.
No, well, I didn't. Well, you wouldn't know Samantha when she was 16 and 17. There was no telling her anything. So you would have to play the reverse psychology, saying don't do that, and she would have done it. So, but all jokes apart, it was just about encouraging her to get a role, and I was keen about getting into the industry, and I think And I knew at the time, I think she'd be good. And I was kind of keen to get her into airline account management because of my background. And there were some opportunities around that. And I said, why don't you do that? But the opportunity came up at Hilton at Terminal 4, which is the events. And we were living quite close to it at the time. And she got the job. But I hope she would agree in saying, I never said don't do it. It was a case of when she got it, I was pleased to do it. I think you have to let people make up their own minds. And she saw my story. Again, we were joking. He was going, what did you think of your dad? Well, she never saw me because I was away all the time. She didn't know who I was.
Just came back with gifts every now and then.
Yeah, that's it. As long as I turned back with a teddy from somewhere, it was okay. So I think, and since then, clearly I'm very proud that she's in the industry, and we have kind of spoken and helped get through roles, including like Oman Tourism and what have you, through contacts and that. So I think it's great, and I'm really pleased he is. But I think with everybody, we just have to show what a great opportunity it is. And I think the big thing that the message both of us give over is we both kind of left school at 16 without too many qualifications, have now got a really good career out of it and having fun. And I know it sounds this is not glamorous, but if she gave a list of where she's heading off to in the next few months, it's pretty glamorous, right?
And what you don't remember which program it was that you saw?
I can't remember. It was probably, I used to watch god awful TV, so it was probably something really like reality TV. Exactly. So it was probably some reality TV sort of style thing that did, and I don't even think it was focused on that. I just thought, I think they were probably doing like guest lists and some like big fancy parties like the Oscars or something like that, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I feel like I'd do all right at that, and that's how it all started. Bit random, really. I think it was actually, I remember, because it was either out of the Hilton or I also applied for Qantas cabin crew at the time. So it was, and I think I was going to the interview, but then I got the job at Hilton and I was like, no, let's go with the Hilton. So I was going to end up in the travel industry at some point, let's be honest.
What we're talking about, I spoke to somebody at college recently, and she was saying that it is actually important. Although you said you didn't have much of an influence on Sammi's career as her parent, but she was saying it is important for the industry to speak to, or to somehow raise awareness among the parents as well, not just the students. Is that something that you think is important too, Clive, and that the BTA has looked into? Because they do have some influence in some respects as to what their children end up choosing, I guess.
I think it is really important, and something we're very across is getting the message beyond the individual to say it's a good career. I mean, I've also had those conversations where people have said to me, well, my parents said don't join that industry because it's X, Y, Z. And particularly over the last couple of years, it's been at the kind of the cold face of all things that have been pretty bad, and the people saying that's not a stable career. So I think we do have to get to them and say it is a great career. And if I look around my immediate peers around the BTA and everybody we work with on a day-to-day basis, they've all had really strong careers and have been in it for a long time. So I think we do have to make sure that those that are advising, and it's not just parents, which is hugely important, but careers officers and the careers advisors, that this industry that we're in is a career-driven industry that is give you plenty of option and is not a risky strategy for somebody in their career. So yeah, I think we just need to spread the word far and wide beyond those individuals, because there's nothing worse, right, than getting a student going, I want to do that, and then the parent going, I don't want you to do that. So we have to stop that.
And going back to your attractions to the industry, you were into traveling. You'd had that experience as a child on the package holidays. What was that the same for you, Sammi? Did you look to come into this because you liked traveling, or had you done so much travel? I mean, did you travel quite a lot because of your dad's work?
Yeah, I mean, we were so fortunate, and to say that he didn't have an influence, he definitely had an influence on my knowledge of the industry, and even helping me to where I am now. He's been an amazing help, and he obviously knows a million people in this industry, which is always super helpful. But growing up, I mean, we were so lucky. We went to Australia, like Singapore, like we got to go to these amazing places. And I kind of look back and I think, actually, that was really special, because a lot of my friends probably didn't do that. And there's me coming back after summer holidays going, I just spent 3 weeks in Australia traveling around, and we did like a tour around America, like that. So to me, the traveling from the get-go has always been part of kind of our DNA as like our family. Like, I think going past Dad as well, sort of like my grandparents and so on, they've always traveled. So I mean, it's always stuck with me that I want to see the world. I want to see as much of the world as I can. And I think that's also where where I love this industry of, I've got to travel the world and see some amazing places that I necessarily wouldn't have known or done at all. So yeah, it's definitely growing up with that kind of knowledge and seeing him do that as well, and him travel to places and being like, oh, where's that? That looks amazing. I want to go there. I want to explore and kind of raise that awareness to people and be like, look, have you been here?
Yeah. And what else do you love about working in travel?
I love the people. Like, working within an events agency is probably slightly a little bit different, because I'm putting an event on for business travel people as well, so start to sort of finish. And that's one things I have as well, is kind of proposing those destinations to people, going like, right, you've never been here, or like, let's think outside the box. Where can we take people that is going to be a once in a lifetime experience for them, to kind of come back and be like, wow, my company has taken me here, like this is an amazing experience. So I love sort of being able to give people that opportunity of proposing somewhere and being like, planning everything, and they get to see the most amazing parts of certain countries, and seeing that sort of start to finish. And then the people just kind of really make it in this industry, like who you know, and they really want to show off the best of, especially when I'm using a destination or a DMC, they want to show off the best of their country. And then you kind of get to meet these people all over the world that, again, I would have never even known or acknowledged. And then it's kind of, you have that network around the world, which I think is a really special thing to kind of say you have, and you know people all over.
And I guess things are different every day. You're not doing the same thing day in and out. Things are changing all the time, and you're always discovering new places, and meeting new people. Is that part of the attraction? Because I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, even today, I've had like some DMCs come in of like, they're telling me new places to go, and I'm like, I literally came out, I was like, girls, I'm going to book a flight, I'm going here. And they're like, so it's me finding new places as well, which excite me. And I just would never have even known half of this stuff at all.
And what skills do you think you've acquired working in the industry?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, in this industry, you need a lot of people management within this industry. You have to be very personable and kind of work with a number of different people. That's probably one of the main things. And then I'm trying to think what else really could.
Organisation skills you've learned.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, definitely organisation skills. Being in events, you need to, and just learning different things of different countries, that you kind of really have to use your brain quite a lot, of visas, God knows what else. So there's a lot in it, but people is the main one. And yeah, I'd say organisation, you kind of are looking at a number of different places at the same time. So,
and what do you think you'll stay in travel the rest? I know you've got a long life ahead of you, but
I definitely don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, it's been sort of 16 years already, which makes me feel old a lot, but
I wish.
Yeah. But no, I really do love the industry we're in. It has its stresses, but I don't think I could see myself working in a different agency now. I think during COVID, I was like, well, maybe I should try something different, but I couldn't put my finger on what that could be. It always kind of came back to travel.
Yeah, and obviously, Clive, I think I know the answer to this one, but you're in trouble for this foreseeable.
Oh, I think I'm done. Yeah, until I'm done, which is not that far away. But yeah, I couldn't leave it. The only time I left it was for just over a 12-month period where I ran a pub with my wife at the time, but that was still in hospitality. So the rest of it, it's been completely in this, and I absolutely love it. And now I just want to travel more as I get older and head towards retirement, and I actually want to travel even more than I have done already, I guess.
He's always away now.
Yeah,
he's never in the country anymore.
I know, we're always calling him out to come and look after a fur brother, so we can go away.
So, and what if you were to sort of go in and talk to a group of students now, Clive, and how would you sell the industry to them, or a career in the industry to them?
I mean, I have been fortunate enough to do this, and it is quite an easy sell for me. But whether it's an easy buy for them, I think is still the thing. But I think it's generally the opportunity that it gives you. If you look at my career, I've gone with no qualifications to being a CEO of an organization and of a travel management company. But not just that, more importantly, is I've gone from being leisure to foreign exchange to corporate to airline, leisure, corporate, running a TMC. And so I haven't gone a straight track all the way through. And Sammi, I'm not supposed to say Samantha when officially, Sammi is doing the same, even at 16 years, going hotel, into a tourism board and then into events. And that's what we did with our brochure, right, that we put out. I wanted passionately, it wasn't, whilst we represent travel management companies, it's to say you can start there, you can come back there and go away again and still come back. And what it gives you is this huge career opportunity. But it also gives you experiences. If you're into experiences, I genuinely have traveled the world for free is my kind of tagline that I've done. And I've stayed in the best hotels, had amazing experiences. I have met everything from royalty to prime ministers, to sports stars, to music stars. I've been away doing sporting stuff that I personally love that I could never have paid for, let alone got an opportunity at. And the last piece is I've worked genuinely, and it's again a bit cheesy, with some amazing people and had so much fun. And even through the darkest times, such as the volcano and the pandemic, is that just those people have got us through, and we still managed to laugh. And I feel a huge part of it, and I almost feel a bit sad that I know I'm coming towards the end of my career because I love it so much.
You've got a few more years to go.
I have, but you're jealous of those people starting out and the opportunities they've got. So when I'm talking to students or whatever, is saying, it's just, you're so lucky to be at the start of this, and the world changes. It's changed in the time that I've been in it massively, from handwriting air tickets to where we are now. But it just, people love travel. It's emotional, it's subjective, and most of all, whether it's business travel or leisure travel, people get excited about it, and you're making that excitement. You're making dreams come true and businesses grow, and it's such a powerful message.
Yeah, definitely. What a great place to end. Thank you so much to both of you. It's been really good fun talking to you, and hopefully we can share this and attract some new people, new talent into the industry. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bev.